Brothers and sisters, a few days ago I received in the mail the latest edition of the Final Call newspaper. And Brother Abdullah, and Sister Karima's daughter had donated a kidney on the cover. And I was just so moved by that. Brother Abdul, I've known as my former Lieutenant Anthony 38X, and I knew his wife as Sister Pearl X. She's Sister Captain Karima today. But I think back of all the years I've known Brother Abdul for over 40 years. He used to come into our steak and take when I was a teenager. He used to come there a couple of nights a week to collect the paper sales and also collect charity from us. He used to ride a motorcycle back in those days. But I was very touched by that, and I wanted to reach back into the vault. About 8 years ago, I did an interview with Brother Jason. Brother Jason had donated his kidney to his brother, Brother Kenneth.
And once again, we welcome you. Brothers and sisters, as promised, we hope to, this year, as we begin year 2, to have some more human interest stories. As you know, during the first year, my job was to inspire you, to encourage you, to enlighten you with the teachings of the Honorable Messenger Elijah Muhammad, a man who I believe is the messenger of God and God's last messenger, who was in our midst for 44 years, delivering the word from Almighty God, Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. My guest today, brothers and sisters, is a human interest story. Brother donated his kidney to his brother. And the book of John says, greater has no love than one who would lay down his life for his friend. And that's in the book of John. And my guest is Brother Kenneth X and Brother Jason X. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
How are you doing today, my brothers?
Fine, sir.
And as we're going forth with this, when did you first start experiencing some sort of illness?
Well, with the kidney failure, I was working with the Transit Authority, and they give you tests as a train operator. They give you tests, for your health.
Periodicals.
Yes, you may know about that. And they seen that I started to have a problem with the kidney. I think they came up with protein in the urine.
Yes.
So they seen that was escalating, and they wanted to monitor it. So the next year, they said, well, you need to go see a doctor about that. So I went to see a doctor. That was around 2000. But actually, I started seeing the effects they didn't know, because I found out when I had kidney failure that I had lupus. But the symptoms started actually in 1990.
Yes, sir.
I had came down with a severe case of arthritis.
Yes, sir.
Very debilitating. And that went on for about 3 or 4 years. The arthritis went into remission, and then it came back up in the late 90s. Got a biopsy in 2000. Doctor diagnosed it as nephrotic syndrome. That means kidneys, you're having a problem with your kidneys.
Yes, sir. 3
years later, January 11th, kidneys just went into failure. I was taking medication between that time, 2000, 2003. But in 2003, I remember that day, January 11th, kidneys went into failure.
And your brothers, how many brothers you have?
I have 4 brothers.
Yes, sir.
4 younger brothers.
Yes, sir. And what was your what did you do when the kidneys collapsed?
Well, after the kidneys fell, I was going back and forth to the doctors, because I really didn't know, because it was gradual, but I had the swelling of the legs and the feet. So it was maybe 3 weeks after that. Well, I went to another doctor in that interim and got a second opinion. And doctor there, she said, well, you got to go to dialysis. I didn't really know what dialysis was, but I heard about it. Then when I seen my doctor, he told me that day, you have to go to the hospital to go dialysis. Went, I think it was either end of January, beginning of February. And he said, you got to go on dialysis. Went to the hospital, cut you up, and started the dialysis. I was on dialysis for 2 years. I thought about a kidney transplant, but I was never really gung-ho about it. Brother Jason, when he came to the hospital, I just remember when I was in South Shore Hospital, brother came to the bed. He said, brother, I'm going to give you my kidney. I said, yeah, that's Jason. Jason, you know. But when Jason tells you he's going to do something, he's going to do it.
Yes, sir.
I never thought, you know, that things would transpire as it did 2 years later.
Anytime I think about what he did, I gotta hold back tears because it was courageous and man ain't supposed to cry, but I just sometimes I just think about it. He just gave part of his life to make mine better.
What would you do for your friend? You say that you would take a bullet for your friend. What if the bullet was moving really slow? He had something that was killing him real slow, and I had the ability to jump in the way of it before it killed him.
Downstate Hospital in the kidney transplant department.
Is that right?
And how long was that after I had the kidney failure?
She was looking for a job at the time while your kidneys were failing. She got a job, and that's how I started to get the information how necessary a kidney transplant was and how easy it was to actually get tested and go and do. So she was looking for a job, she found a job, and that job happened to be in the avenue that my brother needed his help.
All praises due to Allah.
There's no such thing as coincidence.
Yes, sir.
So brother called, Brother Jason, I can't remember, maybe it was a year or so after that, the kidney failure. Jason said, brother, you gonna come on down, tell your brothers, whomever, come to give the blood, and you know, to see if they're eligible or, you know, candidate for to be a donor. And they tested one of my brothers. He was on medication, so he couldn't be a donor. And the other brothers didn't make it there. But by the time they had tested Brother Jason's blood, they said, we have a perfect match here.
Praise be to Allah.
What were they saying? The antigens or whatever?
Right, there's like 6 antigens that could be genetically connected to one another. They just beside being like an ABO match, they're antigen levels. And they said that based on our match, that we were closer than some family members.
Is that right?
Right, that we had 2 genetic markers that were actually the same. He grew up on one side of Brooklyn, I grew up on another side of Brooklyn, and we happened to be very closer than some family members in terms of genetic markers. So who would know? But that's the way it turned out.
Did you consult your wife or your brothers? You have brothers?
I have brothers, but they live all the way in California.
Okay. Did
Right.
you consult anyone before you made the decision? Or
No.
Yes, sir.
I'm one of those people who believe that you have sovereign rights over your own body.
Go ahead.
That if you love yourself, then no one should be able to tell you what you can and cannot do with this being your body.
Yes, sir.
And if you don't love yourself, and people that love you find that you're doing something of harm to this, your body, they should love you enough to tell you, hey, back up off of those drugs. Hey, stop smoking. Hey, cut down on that overeating. And they should be able to guide you into doing what you should be doing with your own body. But if you want to smoke, if you want to drink, if you want to party, you want to exercise, not enough, all of those things that'll make you unhealthy, you should have the right to do that as well.
Yes, sir. How did you come to meet Brother Kenneth?
Oh, we met in the class of one of the greatest classes there ever will be in the history of the world, and that's the FOI class.
Yes,
that's
sir.
the Fruit of Islam.
That's right.
That's a class that a lot of people in America, a lot of people don't know anything about, because they say those that know don't tell, and those that tell don't know. And it's not a secret society, but it's just a close-knit brotherhood of men who belong to Islam in North America. It's a training of men. It teaches you everything that you need to know about being a man here in America, and it prepares you for life in the city, life in the country, anything that you need to know to really be a man inside of that FOI class. It was there, and I met my brother. I met his physical brother, Brother Stephen, and he and I were roommates when I was in college. He was my roommate. He was working, I was working.
Which college was that, brother?
Oh, that was Long Island University, downtown
IU.
Brooklyn
Yes,
Center,
sir.
right? And we were going to school. One of the things I wanted to say, Brother Lance, is I'm glad that you're doing a human interest story. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of times people get the wrong impression of black men in general. Muslims in particular, but black men in general. They think that we don't have hearts.
That's right.
And that's why it gives them the ability to at least go after us, if not murder us, with impunity.